Mayor DiMargo and also County Judge Ricardo Samaniego, along with Dr. Hector Ocaranza. Also with us is going to be the Assistant Fire Chief Jorge Rodriguez. And we are going ahead and start with Mayor Margo. Mayor, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself and get us started, sir.
Thank you all for joining us today. To give everybody an update, we have 47 new positive cases, and Dr. Ocaranza naturally will answer most of the questions that I know will be forthcoming. We have 587 total positives so far. We have no new deaths to report. We have 37 in the hospital and 13 are in the ICU. And the thing I want to clarify is we're not looking at this as we analyze this from a Department of Public Health standpoint. We're not looking at this as a spike per se. This is simply a delay in the information coming from the private labs. 6 of the tests today came from the Department of Public Health, but 41 came from the private labs, and there's a lag time there. So we're just what we really want to monitor are the number of people in the hospital and those in ICU. That's probably the most critical thing. We're going to expand some testing. Juarez is my office talked to the mayor's office in Juarez today to talk about where they are. I don't have all the specific data, but they talked about they're in phase 3. They're restricting. There's a more permanent lockdown occurring over there. On public transportation, they are limiting the number of riders and enforcing that completely, so that stops their security people. If they see too many people on the bus, they will remove them. But they are strictly enforcing. So I don't have any other real particular information on that, but we are monitoring and have conversation with them every day. And it is, it's factual. Their death rates is much higher than ours. The judge and I are working on our joint agreement to incorporate what the governor talked about last week related to retail and other things, and elective surgeries, et cetera. We'll just refine our agreement accordingly. That is, we'll probably have that tomorrow, and I'll let the judge go from there. That's all I have to add to. The judge can go, and then we'll go into Dr. Ocaranza. You're muted.
Judge, if you could unmute yourself.
Let me see where he's at. Okay, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity, Mayor. Thank you for the synopsis. We are, working very close. Thank God for our neighbors. A lot of things that they do in Juarez are trying to emulate what we're doing here in El Paso. And so that's the kind of relationship that we have. New Mexico, the same thing with the mayor of New Mexico. Of Las Cruces. So we're, I think one of the fundamental things that we're doing is a great relationship that we've established, being in lockstep with the mayor and looking at our orders and trying to address things quickly. The governor is moving in a good, quick, towards more of the economy and the opening of our economy, and that's going to be really important for us. So the only thing I'd like to sort of reinforce is that every company that's close to business should begin to look at their own, what is it that would allow them to be successful in the reopening and coming back into our economy. So I think if they start looking at those ideas and be able to share that with the mayor and I, then we can be supportive to see how we can move towards opening the economy. But having said that, we're very, very, very conscientious about the fact that we need to flatten the curve. We cannot relax at this time. We have to do everything possible. So it's a great balance between public health, making sure that we flatten the curve, and then how do we open businesses in such a way that it doesn't impact the health side. So that balance is something that the mayor and I are really looking at constantly of, making sure that one doesn't affect the other. By opening new businesses, if we don't do this in the right manner, then we might be creating problems for the spread. So that balance is very important. And so we're going to be looking at, we will adhere, excuse me, to the governor's orders, but within those orders, the mayor and I can begin to look at some of the restrictions and some of the procedures and how do we need to be cautious as we move forward. And so we do have the flexibility, not so much on not adhering, but on how we conduct businesses that we open. So that's a summary of what we're trying to accomplish between the mayor and myself at this point in time.
Well said, Judge. All right, Dr. Ocaranza, you want to comment?
Yes, sir.
Dr. O, if you could, thank you.
Yes. As we heard from Mayor Margo, we have a total number of positive cases of 587. We're keeping a close eye on all those positive cases that are hospitalized, and in particular to the ICU, because that gives us information how the severity of the disease in the community. We need to announce to that we're able to expand our testing to every individual that has symptoms, given the fact that the federal government has relaxed their testing criteria, and now we're allowed to be testing everybody with symptoms, regardless of the age, regardless of whether they have other pre-existing conditions. So we will be sending that document so people can make the appointment to come through the drive-through, and we can increase our testing in our city for all those that have symptoms. Said that, we gathered the information from the private labs and the Department of Public Health labs, and we had a good response from most of the private laboratories, and we had a total number of tests done in El Paso of 6,720. We continue getting and updating that information on a daily basis, and as mentioned before, many times we have some lag in time when the labs report some positive cases and by the reporting that is done by those private labs to us. We have a positivity rate of 8.6% on the testing that we've been doing in the city. We continue monitoring the situation, and as we approach in opening the city, we will continue keeping a close eye on how the situation evolves and the amount of cases that we have positive, and also in the amount of patients that get admitted to the hospital. But we will continue reminding the population to follow the orders. We are still telling the population that if they're going to be outside, they need to be with a mask. And if we all do our part, then we will continue doing better, and we will see that the virus in the community is going to slow down and the spread.